Welcome to 50 Years of Fishing with Lieutenant Dan. Now I know what you're thinking. You're not Lieutenant Dan. Well, no, I'm not that Lieutenant Dan that was in the movie Forrest Gump, but I am Lieutenant Dan. Now let me tell you how I became Lieutenant Dan. 16 years ago, I became a fishing guide on Table Rock Lake and Taneycomo in Missouri. And in order to become a fishing guide, you've got to go through the Coast Guard. And you got to take all these batteries of tests and jump through all these legal hoops. And then you become a captain in the Coast Guard. So one day I was out with some clients and then I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to take a reduction in rank and become Lieutenant Dan. I make just as much money as a lieutenant as I do as a captain. So I became Lieutenant Dan, and my clients thought that was the neatest thing. And they go tell everybody, hey, I went fishing with Lieutenant Dan. So over the years, many of my clients have asked me, Dan, why don't you write a book with all your knowledge and all your 50 years of experience? And I thought, you know, I just never felt to write a book. But anyway, YouTube came along, and I thought, I think this is the avenue I can use to share my stories. So here I go. My love for fishing started when I was about 4 years old. My grandmother took me to a park in St. Louis, and as we were going to that park, there was a funeral home. And they had a windmill and a waterfall that came down almost to the sidewalk. It was there. And it had goldfish in it. And my grandma picked me up and showed me them. And that was the first fish I'd ever seen in my life. And it was like a fire went off. All I could think about was fishing. So I got tons more to share with you about all that. Now, I'll share that with you next week. Now, for the tip of the week, fluorocarbon line. Things you don't know about fluorocarbon line that I want to share with you. When fluorocarbon line first came out, I bought it, spooled it on my reel, went out fishing, and about every other hook set seemed like my line broke. So I thought. So I came back to a friend of mine that recommended I buy this line, and I said, this stuff is junk. And he said, Dan, what kind of knot are you tying? And I said, well, the one where you wrap it around 5 times, go through 2 times and pull it down. Wrong knot. You have to tie a Palomar knot. Now I'm going to show you this Palomar knot. And for the sake of saving time, I already ran this through. So you take the line, you run it through the eye one time, and you run it back through the same hole. And then you hold this tag in, and you got a loop like this. So then you take that, and you tie an overhand knot. And then you kind of pull it down a little bit, and you take that loop, pull it over the bait, like so, and then you wet it. And then you start, whoop. Oh, darn. I messed that up. No, I didn't. Hang on. Bear with me. This happens out on the water, too. And you pull it down, and there you got your Palomar knot. And I started using that Palomar knot, and my line didn't break anymore. Now, let me tell you the benefits of using fluorocarbon line. It has less stretch than monofilament, and so it's super sensitive. It has, fish can't see it. It doesn't absorb water, so it falls faster through the water. Now, it costs more than monofilament line, but the trade-off is you don't have to change your line near as often with fluorocarbon line. So I've got some fluorocarbon line that's been on over a year. You know, people would say that's crazy. You know, well, I'm not fishing tournaments anymore, but you know, I still use it and it still works. So I thought, why bother to change it? So anyway, when you get a chance, check out my website, bransonfishingguides.com and tablerockfishingguides.com, and come on down and book a trip. We'll go fishing and have some fun, and I'll take your photo with your catch, put you on Facebook, and you'll become world famous in Branson. Until next week, God bless you and keep you safe on the water. This is Lieutenant Dan signing out.